What's up, guys? So I got a question from a friend named Wayne here, who also does jiu-jitsu, and I thought this was just a good topic to discuss. I'm just going to read the message, skim through it a little bit right here. It says, "Hey bro, would you be willing to make a video on what, in your opinion, separates guys who are in the top 1% or half of 1% of their sport from the guy who wins it all?" And he said, to be more specific, in my mind, I imagine that the guy who places second place or third place or 10th place at the national tournament probably is every bit as dedicated as the person who finished in the first place, barring some exceptions. I know that I could be wrong. That's why I wanted to ask someone who actually won it all for their perception. Thanks for the question, Wayne. So I actually don't agree. I don't believe that the guy who got second to, 10th or, in wrestling cases, second to 8th place, who All-American, are exactly dedicated the same. I think the number one thing that separates, what separated me from my competitors, whether it's 2 or 8 or anywhere in between, was my level of commitment. When I say I was obsessed, there's crazy guys in jiu-jitsu who they basically live the jiu-jitsu life. That's cool and crazy and all that, but that's not the same, honestly, as how I felt that I was living with my wrestling life. Everything was wrestling. Diet, lifting, amount of practices, hours in the room, and intentionality in the room when I practice. So what do I think separates, the 1 versus the 2? Like, this is the littlest of margins separate us, and I mean the smallest of margins separate us. And I think it's intentionality in the wrestling room. I think the 1 and the 2 guy are probably both pretty similarly disciplined. They probably are always getting after it, doing the right things, but who's a little bit more intentional? For me, my focus was always on how I can fix the weak areas, not the strong areas, but focused on the weak areas. Of course, I told you guys about how I rep out and how I got really good at my moves, but that's not what the point of this is. I also focused on my weak areas. And that brings me to the second point, is attention to detail. This is really where, like, the 3 through 8 guys, this is where they fall off. I never felt like I was very close to the 3rd place guy at these national tournaments. So the first time I won nationals, I teched the guy who placed 3rd in that tournament. Second time I won nationals, I beat the guy 7-2. He ended up placing 3rd. Third time I won nationals, I beat the guy 5-0. So none of these guys were really close. And I think one of the biggest things was that they don't have the attention to detail that, maybe I had. And this is just me speaking, and different champions, different divisions, whatever, or different sports can, talk about these things differently. But the attention to detail that I had compared to the number 3 guy, as far as technical things went, I believe was far out, from what they had. And especially from the number 8 guy, it's not close. The guy who placed 8th is not close to the guy who placed 1st. I think that there's more to it than attention to detail. I think it's, the discipline in the small things. Discipline in the small things, like your diet, your sleep, your lifting, again, your training. The guy who placed 8th, he's probably that guy who's pretty talented. Like, he's all right. He's a good wrestler. Or he's good at jiu-jitsu. Whatever. Like, I'm going to speak wrestling here because I'm a wrestler, right? More than anything, I've had success in wrestling and not in jiu-jitsu. The guy who placed 8th of the tournament is a guy who's very talented. He's probably strong. He probably has a couple key moves, but he lacks the discipline in many areas of his life, including lifting, diet, and he lacks the little extra attention to detail and a little bit of skill. One of the problems I saw at the national tournament, especially from literally specifically the guys that placed 7th or 8th in my tournament, they only had 1 good takedown. They had 1 good takedown, and they were not very good in bottom. So this is wrestling specific talk right here. They're not very good in the bottom position, and they were very easy to pin. And I pinned them every time because they weren't able to chain wrestle and wrestle through positions that I was incredibly good at. So I was a step ahead. What separates 1 versus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is that 1 allows himself to train so hard and train so intentionally that he's consistently a step ahead of the next guy. The last thing that I had to think is sticking to what you're good at. Guys who are, the 6th, 7th, 8th place guys, they're only good at one thing. And so they came to college with really good high crotch. they could shoot that post high C to a double off every single time, and they won their state title. You know, they won their high school state title. Maybe they won 2 or 3 or 4 because they were really good at that, and they were maybe a little bit physically better. But when you get to college, that crap don't work. So the high C works. High C double off, it works for sure. But what I'm saying is it doesn't work immediately, and lots of guys give up because they're good at what they're good at, and they are like, crap, if I can't hit that high C or the double off, I'm done. I stall out the match. I actually have a friend of mine, I'm not going to name any names, but I have a friend of mine who's very good at high crotches, and you know, I wrestled him multiple times. I wrestled him 5 times in college, and I beat him every single time. The first couple times was very close. After that, not really close at all, because he really only had one move. He had a really good post high C, you know, post high C outside step, and I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. When I wrestled him, I hit him with a couple different moves. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think ankle pick, Winn-Dixie, super duck, single leg, duck under. Yeah, those are the takedowns I hit him with. Duck double, which I talked about in one of the other videos. I was diverse. Every time I wrestled him, I had different takedowns to use in my arsenal. And one of the problems with lots of guys is they have one takedown. You know, everyone knew I was really good at ankle picks, because I was great at ankle picks. I'm still great at ankle picks, and I'm not ashamed to say that because it's true. I know I can basically ankle pick anyone, I feel like. But when I run into that guy who I cannot ankle pick, I'm ready to hit a duck under. When I run into the guy that I can't duck under, I'm ready to hit a double leg. You know, if I can't hit a double leg, I'm ready to hit, you know, my inside drag single. If I can't hit my inside drag single, I'm going back to my ankle pick. And I'm able to chain moves together. So let's say I have 4 really good takedowns. Takedown 1 doesn't work, I do 2. If 2 doesn't work, I do 3. If 3 doesn't work, I hit 4. And then maybe I go back and I go 2-4. Maybe I go 1-3. Maybe I go, you know, 2-3. Maybe I go 3-1. I'm putting together combinations, and I'm able to identify areas of weakness and allow myself to make adjustments mid-match. And mid-match adjustments is a really big thing that I think separates 1 to 8, and I just came to my mind, is the ability to make mid-match adjustments. Okay, this guy, he's keeping his left leg back. Okay, crap, and I'm trying to pull, I'm trying to do everything coach said. I'm trying to pull it back, I'm trying to pull it back. His leg's not moving back. Okay, he's heavy on his right leg. That means I'm gonna fake like I'm pulling back that left leg. Now I'm gonna shoot my low single to the right. I'm faking that I'm hitting that left leg. I'm going sweep single, fake snatch single, fake duck to the other side. I'm able, and not just me, but I think the guys who are really, really good at wrestling, especially, are able to make mid-match adjustments, and the guys who they're wrestling against, maybe that 2 through 8, aren't able to identify that those adjustments are even being made, and that's a weakness for them. And their timing tends to be a step off because of this. Other than that, there's some pretty obvious things, like we said, the ability to dedicate yourself fully to the art that you're doing, the ability to have, you know, to train yourself mentally. I talked about this in one of my other videos, how to attack every competition with like a kill or be killed mindset. You have to go in there like you're the king. Like wrestling, we don't play wrestling, we're killers. We wrestle. Some of the mental things like that separate 1 through 8. I felt like for me, I was just tougher, better shape. I was a step ahead of most people. You know, I had drilled so much that I could take anyone down. I did a lot of little things right, including diet, lifting, hung around the right people. There's a lot of factors. I don't want to make this video too long, but honestly, I feel like there's a lot you can get out of just this video. Maybe watch it again. I really appreciate you for asking the question. There is a really big difference between 1 through 8. And one of the last things I want to say, guys, and this might seem off. I don't accept 8th place. I don't even accept 2nd place. I hate 2nd place. I hate it. I take offense to it. I got 2nd place in the absolute tournament of worlds, and I got freaking submitted in 10 seconds. You think I'm proud of that? No, I'm not proud of that. You know, I didn't post that on Instagram. I posted when I won my world title, you know, in my blue belt ultra heavyweight class. I'm proud of that. 2nd place, I'm not mad. I'm more than the sport, right? But I take it personally, and I don't look at that as an achievement. And maybe that's something that some people see as wrong. You know, there's the big debate about, you know, participation trophies, and for me, a 2nd place is a participation trophy. You beat a few guys, and you made it to the finals, but then you lost. And as like someone who sees himself as a professional, my mindset is that, you know, anything less than 1st is last. And I know that might seem crazy, but it also allows me to drive and push myself. Man, I hope these answers helped you out. If you have any more questions, go ahead and ask. Appreciate it, guys. See you later.